breaking developments of a Georgia lawmaker resigning. Representative Jason Spencer has submitted his resignation to House Speaker David Ralston effective the end of the month.
In 2018, a sitting U.S. politician ended his career on camera, not because of a scandal that had been uncovered or leaked, but because of one that had been set up to see him fail. Georgia State Representative Jason Spencer resigned from his position after the release of Showtime's new television series Who is America, a political mockumentary-style satire. Spencer had been led to believe that he was acting in an anti-terrorism PSA until the show aired. That's when he learned, live with every other viewer, he had actually been interviewed by famous actor and comedian Sacha Baron Cohen, disguised as an Israeli soldier/security expert. Under Cohen's guidance, Spencer had been led to doing a Chinese impression,
Konnichiwa, Red Dragon,
taking pictures from underneath a Muslim woman's burqa, exposing his bare bottom and shouting about homosexuality and American pride as he chased Cohen around.
I'll touch you, I'll make you a homosexual, you drop that gun right now, USA, okay. USA!
And repeatedly screaming the N-word.
Go! Nigger! Nigger! Nigger!
Unsurprisingly, the episode was met with much backlash against Spencer, and his political career was effectively over. Many people thought that if this is who Spencer is and what he does when he thinks no one is watching, then the public deserves to see that and hold him accountable. In what circumstance could those actions ever be okay? But there lies the biggest question of all. Should this have even happened? Spencer chose to do that, but Cohen told him to in the name of stopping terrorism. Which one of them is really at fault? To answer that, you have to understand how Cohen's comedy and approach to satire actually works. Satire, as defined by Merriam-Webster, wit, irony, or sarcasm used to expose and discredit vice or folly as of a person, government, or society. Cohen operates under the belief that when he takes on the persona of someone who might be considered problematic, he can expose hidden prejudices and challenge social norms. He's been refining his methods and style of comedy since his early days on late-night cable TV in 90s England, to his big international debut in 2000 with The Ali G Show, where he introduced some of his most notable characters, such as Bruno, a gay fashion designer from Austria, Borat, a journalist from Kazakhstan, and the titular Ali G, a suburban chav from England, chav referring to the derogatory term used to describe white English youth who imitate aspects of black English and Jamaican culture.
You obviously feel that you're being targeted.
Maybe it's because I'm black. That's what Ali G says. I don't know.
These characters grew to such notoriety and popularity that Cohen has produced numerous feature-length films about them. Another thing to note is that Cohen's work doesn't quite cleanly fit into any predefined notion of narrative filmmaking. It's real people in real environments, so at first glance it seems like a documentary, but he intercuts these scenes with scripted moments, giving these characters emotional arcs and a running story through the product to make one cohesive storyline. Scholars such as Kate Blouck have argued that his work operates somewhere between documentary and fiction, using the term docufiction. He enters the real world as a fictional character, and treats everyone and everything he interacts with as all part of his narrative. The audience can see the finished product and understand his intent, but the people he interacts with don't get that same privilege. So how do you draw the line on whether he's going too far, if at all? But that's exactly it. Sacha Baron Cohen's style of comedy filmmaking demonstrates the ethical dangers of satire. While it does effectively expose prejudice in society, his reliance on deception and public humiliation complicates his moral legitimacy. One viewpoint is that the ends do justify the means, and this is something Cohen has echoed himself for years. It doesn't matter how he got to the final product. What matters is the endpoint. So what if he told Spencer to do those things? Spencer still willingly chose to do them. He didn't tell Cohen no or even challenge him.
Okay, convince him or her that you are Chinese. Go.
Scholars like Ray Gutterman argue that Cohen's work effectively utilizes satire for the benefit of others. It's sort of social test, so to speak, to reveal those underlying beliefs that might have otherwise stayed hidden. Satire is generally protected in the USA under the First Amendment as free speech, where the most challenging moments of Cohen's career have occurred. And again, scholars like Gutterman would emphasize that it absolutely should be protected. Cohen's level of deception is inherently necessary. Without it, some of the people Cohen have targeted wouldn't have revealed themselves.
All right, if you call me gay one more time, I'm finna knock every tooth out of your head. You understand what I'm saying? Because I done told you that I'm not gay.
Okay, sure.
Okay, that's good. All right.
Cohen has repeatedly argued in his own defense, of course, saying...
And I think that's quite an interesting thing with Borat, which is people really let down their guard with him because they're in a room with somebody who seems to have these outrageous opinions. They sometimes feel, much more relaxed about letting their own outrageous, politically incorrect, prejudiced opinions come out.
But that argument depends entirely on whether you can accept deception as a tool. To several people, the method matters just as much as the outcome. When the method means that the people Cohen interacts with don't know who he is, they don't understand his intentions, and they don't know how they're going to be portrayed in his narrative, the entire concept of informed consent goes out the window.
We're not going to do it. It's not a problem. No, get off of it.
To quote Leila Villaverde when discussing Borat, "We know it is billed as a comedy and as a mock documentary that abstracts representation of truth in a lived experience, but nonetheless it is a carefully crafted construction. Cohen deceives the people he interacts with, he deceives his audience, and the only person with the truth in his hands through the entire process is himself."
King in the castle, king in the castle. Have a chair, I have a chair. Oh, go do this, king in the castle.
The law might protect satire, but that hasn't stopped Cohen from being slapped with numerous lawsuits. 2 young college students found themselves in a similar situation to Jason Spencer just 10 years earlier, with the biggest difference being they actually took Cohen to court after being displeased with their appearance in the 2006 Borat film. They made several disparaging comments on camera about slavery, women, and other minorities, and later claimed that Cohen and his film crew got them drunk intentionally to get them to sign the release form, and that they were also told the film wouldn't be released in the USA.
Do you have slaves here?
No slaves.
No slaves. It is a shame.
And Bodak.
Big shame. Big shame. It would be better country if...
But Bodak, better country. We should have slaves. Our country, the minorities actually have more power.
The case was swiftly dismissed, but that's merely one of 6 lawsuits that came out of the first Borat film alone. Again, like Spencer, they chose to say those things, but under false pretense. On the list of Cohen's career-long targets, some of the notable names and powerful figures he's pranked include Neil Hamilton, Dick Cheney, Roy Moore, Rudy Giuliani, Mike Pence, and even Donald Trump. He did the absolute bare minimum to convince a Georgia state representative to scream racial slurs at him. Cohen doesn't just use his satire to punch down, he uses it to prove a point. These are the people we've entrusted with power. This is what they do behind closed doors.
Put down your crumb. She's 15. She's too old for you.
Why are you drinking?
He can't just go after figureheads, though. Power trickles down. Someone has to vote to put them into office, and Cohen will do just about anything to make a statement, even endangering his own life in the process. He was involved in crashing a rally held by an anti-government extremist militia group during Borat 2, encouraging them to join in for a very questionable sing-along.
Dr. Fauci, what we gonna do?
As well as provoking a crowd full of violent homophobes at a fake cage match during Bruno. And believe me, he will tell you about it.
Bruno, at the end there's a cage fight in Arkansas, real cage fight, in a cage match. We did this cage match and they start kissing in the middle of the cage fight. So I'm in this cage, the end scene in Bruno is a cage fight, I don't know if you remember.
But his mind isn't always on exposing the truth. Cohen is, above all else, a comedian, with his mind on whatever will make him laugh the most. Most of Cohen's lawsuits have been regarding people who engage with him in good faith, and find out that they were duped and become the joke. As Gutterman explains, the lawsuits are almost always dismissed, not because they weren't deceived, but because he's very good at what he does. If you sign a consent release form and the final product is satirical, it doesn't matter. To most of the world, it doesn't matter at all that he found a small village in Romania and told them to smile at the camera while he switched to a language they didn't speak, and framed them as the worst possible people. It doesn't matter that he found a young Palestinian man and told the world he was actually a terrorist, notably one of the very, very few lawsuits Cohen has actually lost. He has been a walking, talking Jewish stereotype, or a KKK member, or Donald Trump. He has made light of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to people who can do something about it, and sat in on a feminist meeting just to mock them. In Cohen's method of humor, there is no way to punch up without punching down.
Okay, can we finish now?
Listen, pussycat, smile a bit.
All right, that's it. Okay,
I'm done.
We're finished, we have to leave.
One could even argue about the many harmful stereotypes Cohen has created and perpetuated to ignorant audiences about Kazakhstan, to the point that he's found himself in an off-again, on-again controversy with the Kazakh government.
Got quite a lot of flack from Kazakhstan itself.
As Cohen explained to Rolling Stone, the reason we chose Kazakhstan was because it was a country that no one had heard anything about, so we could eventually play on stereotypes. The joke is not on Kazakhstan. I think the joke is on people who can believe that the Kazakhstan that I described can exist, who believe that there's a country where homosexuals wear blue hats, and the women live in cages, and they drink fermented horse urine, and the age of consent has been raised to 9 years old.
They ended up spending about $30 million in a campaign to prove that they were the real Kazakhstan.
And that Borat was not.
Sacha Baron Cohen is ultimately a walking contradiction. He's taught a lot of people valuable life lessons, to say the least. He has repeatedly exposed bigotry and gotten people with dangerous viewpoints out of positions of power. He doesn't always punch down, but on the other hand, when he does, he punches hard. He's humiliated and manipulated innocent people who haven't perpetuated any sort of harm, and even tried to help his characters. His bigoted stances as satire are met with kindness and patience and attempts to change. So really, what do you do with that? There is no one clear answer to this, unfortunately. Is it acceptable to lie if the lie reveals the truth? Or should the method matter no matter the outcome? Because if what the audience is watching is not and can never be pure reality, but rather something constructed and shaped and edited and formed entirely out of Cohen's own biases, then what truth is Cohen revealing? It's a mediated truth, but still a truth nonetheless. Whether it's justified or not depends entirely on the viewer. I mean, what does the truth mean to you?
What was they doing business in back in the day?
Many, many, many years ago, hundreds of millions of years ago, people were doing business, and they were trading in rocks and stones and other things.
Who would want to buy rocks?
I don't know, man. You gotta ask them that.
Just one last thing. You might be wondering why this whole thing was filmed on probably the world's shittiest mic of all time. It was really just to show you the Lady McQueen ukulele. I just want everyone to know, like, that's who I am. Thank you. Thank you.